not earn any more credit card points and miles until you know these 8 rules for earning and traveling with points and miles. I get asked all the time, as someone who travels using points and miles for nearly free on the vast majority of my trips, I get asked all the time questions like, doesn't this affect your credit score for better or for worse? Aren't you in a ton of debt doing this? Don't you have to spend a ton of money on your credit cards to earn enough points and miles for free travel? So in today's video, I am going over the 8 essential rules that you have to follow if you want to travel on points and miles in order to make sure your credit score sees positive benefits, to make sure that you stay out of debt, and to make sure that you're not spending any more than you usually do on a day-to-day basis anyway. I do have a free downloadable travel hacking rules cheat sheet that you can download for free. I'll link it in the description as well as in this QR code. Basically goes over and lists all of these rules that I'm going to cover in today's video so that you can have access to the rules that you can refer back to in your email or print out to have on hand to make sure that you are covering all of your bases and following all of the rules every single month. I also go in a lot more depth about these rules in my ebook, The Budget Travel Bible, my ebook that teaches you how to travel more for less with not only beginner-friendly tips to travel using credit card points and miles, but also all of my best secrets to travel on a budget without sacrificing luxury experiences. So I will link that in the description as well. Let's start with rule number 1. Only put your normal living expenses on your credit card. Nothing more, nothing less. Using credit cards is not the opportunity to spend more than you usually do on a day-to-day basis. And we're gonna go over how exactly we're gonna do that in the following rules in terms of like interest and annual fees and all of those extra expenses that can come with using travel credit cards. So we're gonna go a little bit over this rule throughout the whole video. But I wanna start by saying that using credit cards and earning points and miles with credit cards is not the opportunity or excuse to spend more than you do on a day-to-day basis. We do this by only putting our everyday normal expenses like groceries, gas, car maintenance, dining out, things that we would be spending money on anyway. We do not spend more on our credit cards than these everyday normal expenses. So that is super important if you want to get basically free travel with points and miles. Rule number 2 is to treat your credit card like a debit card, very similar to rule number 1. Same idea. You do not want to use your credit cards to gain debt, to accrue interest. You do not want to treat your credit cards like credit cards. You want to treat them like debit cards, meaning if you do not have the money sitting in your checking account, do not put those purchases on the credit card. This is super important. Travel credit cards in particular often have really high APRs, interest rates. So if you are putting more than you can actually afford on these credit cards, you are not coming out ahead. You are not getting basically free travel. You cannot afford these purchases. Tough love, I know, but do not spend more than you have sitting in your checking account than you could use a debit card for when you're using a travel credit card. If you are prone to credit card debt or think that you might spend more than you actually have with access to a credit card, then the points and miles travel game is not for you. There are plenty of other ways to travel on a budget if you are on a budget, but points and miles and credit cards are not for you if you are going to be spending more than your everyday normal expenses on these cards. Rule number 3 is to never miss a payment deadline. So, like we've been talking about with interest, you definitely do not want to miss any deadlines when paying off your credit cards. A really easy way to avoid this is to set your cards to auto pay. And again, this will work if you are not spending more than you have in your checking account. If you're treating your credit card like a debit card, you won't have any issues setting these cards on auto pay because you will already have that money in your checking or savings account that is connected to your credit card to auto pay with. But you never want to miss a payment deadline because you don't want to accrue interest. You don't want to have to pay late fees. If you're paying these extra fees and interest, again, you are not getting basically free travel. You are in fact paying more than the points and miles are worth. Next, rule number 5 is to avoid annual fees. It is no secret that travel credit cards have some high annual fees. There are some travel credit cards out there that have very high annual fees. I'm talking $600, $700, $800, $900, $1,000 plus annual fees that you're paying every year with these cards, but there are ways to avoid them. While, of course, some of these cards, if you're traveling enough, if you're gamifying travel points and miles, well and following these rules and you're more advanced in the travel points and miles game, then some of these high annual fee cards do have benefits that help offset that annual fee. They can definitely be worth it for frequent flyers and advanced points and miles earners, but especially if you're new to this game, you want to avoid annual fees because this is money that you would not be spending anyway, right? Like these credit card annual fees are not something that you would normally be spending otherwise. And there are a couple of ways to avoid these annual fees. First is to open credit cards that don't have annual fees. That is obviously the easiest way to avoid an annual fee. And the second way to avoid annual fees is to opt for credit cards that have a waived annual fee for the first year. A lot of times different credit cards either have ongoing or promotional offers where they waive the annual fee for the first year, so you can get the benefits and the points and the welcome offer of that credit card without paying the annual fee for a whole year until after you open the card account. Then, after a year passes and that annual fee is posted, then you can close that card account and usually be reimbursed that annual fee or not even charged it. So that is how you can earn a lot of points, especially with nice welcome offers without paying annual fees. Also keep in mind that before you close that card account, for most cards, you want to make sure that you use those miles that you earned from the welcome offer and from using the card before you close the card. So whether you actually travel with those miles or you transfer them to an airline or hotel partner, we want to make sure that you have some usage of those miles and they're not just sitting in that card account before you close it, because oftentimes if you close the card account with miles sitting in there, they will revoke those miles. Now, when deciding if an annual fee is worth it, whether that's a smaller $99, $95 annual fee or a larger high annual fee, there's a few things you want to consider. First, what are the card benefits that are included with that card? Do you use them enough to justify paying the annual fee again? Also, how often do you use those benefits? Because, for example, if you're paying for a Capital One Venture X card, but you only visit a Capital One lounge once out of the year, then it might not be worth paying the annual fee again. So this is just something to consider. Also, you want to consider how many points you earn per dollar. Ideally, you want to earn at least an average of 2x points per dollar spent. So the Capital One Venture X, you are earning 2x on every purchase. Or for your Chase Sapphire card, you're earning 1x per dollar on every purchase, but you're earning 3x on online grocery orders and on dining out. So that could average out to about 2x per dollar on everything. Basically, if you're paying an annual fee, you want to make sure that that card has good points earning potential. Next, rule number 6, open cards when you have a large purchase coming up. Like I said in rule number 1, you don't want to put more on the cards than you'd be spending anyway. And unfortunately, c'est la vie, there are some large purchases that sometimes we have to make, whether that's children's braces, or you're getting a new couch, or you have to get a new phone or a new laptop because it broke. There are large expenses in life that we often have to make, and this is a perfect opportunity to open a new travel credit card and really quickly, easily earn a new welcome bonus on that card. I have a few other videos explaining welcome bonuses, but basically a lot of these travel credit cards will run an opening bonus. Like if you spend $6,000 in the first 3 months of opening the card, then we'll give you a bonus 75,000 points and miles. That's just an example. So if you have a new phone or laptop that you need to buy anyway, if you open a new card, then that $2,000 purchase that you'd be making anyway can really help meet the minimum spend required to earn that large sum of welcome offer bonus points. Hopefully that makes sense. Basically, leverage those large purchases that you are making anyway in time when you open those travel credit cards with those large purchases as much as possible. Rule number 7 is to stay organized. When earning travel points and miles, it is super important that you stay organized because there are a lot of annual fees, a lot of payment deadlines, a lot of annual fee deadlines, minimum spend deadlines, welcome offer deadlines. There are a lot of different dates, benefits, and cards that you need to track when gamifying travel points and miles. So it's important that you stay organized. My preferred way of staying organized with travel credit cards is by using the app Travel Freely. They also have a great desktop version too. Travel Freely tells me when I have annual fees coming up, when I have a minimum spend due date coming up, and all of the dates and deadlines required staying organized with travel credit cards except for the payment deadlines. It tells me that. It sends me email notifications. It keeps me in check and keeps me organized so I'm not missing any of those due dates. So I definitely recommend the Travel Freely app. I also do have a free spreadsheet that I've created that you can download that I'll link in the description as well. That helps you keep track of card activation dates, closing dates, expiration dates, annual fees, payment due dates, APRs, as well as points and miles per dollar earned, benefits, opening bonus, bonus progress, and bonus deadline, all on one spreadsheet that you can download for free. I'll send it right to your email if you are interested in a spreadsheet type of organization tool. And lastly, and maybe most importantly, rule number 8, do not get into the travel points and miles game if you are in debt, especially not if you are in high interest debt. If you have a lot of student loans, and especially if you have a lot of credit card debt, earning travel points and miles and traveling on points and miles is not for you at this point in your life. That's not to say that you can't get out of debt and eventually travel on points and miles, but right now at this point in your life, your main focus should be getting out of debt. My one only really exception to this rule would be a mortgage. If you have a mortgage, for me personally anyway, is the one form of debt that like my husband and I would have and still be using travel credit cards and credit card points and miles. But we made sure before we got into this game, we made sure that we were completely free of credit card debt, completely free of student debt, and also that we were mentally prepared to stay out of debt. Again, this is not something that you want to do if you are prone to debt. If you're prone to spending above your means, this is not a game that you want to get into. But if you are debt-free, other than a mortgage, and if you are organized and are gonna stay on top of your payment deadlines, etc., then travel points and miles is arguably the best way to travel in luxury for nearly free. Although I want to add a little disclaimer as well. I am not a financial advisor, nor am I trying to make myself out to be, so always consult with your personal financial advisor who knows your personal debt, credit card, and financial situation before making any major financial decisions. Super important, obviously. But for those of you in good financial situations and who are organized in type A and love to travel, like I said, points and miles are my favorite way to travel by far. As long as you are following these rules, you should be good to go with earning travel points and miles from now on. Again, I will leave a link to this rule cheat sheet in the description and in the QR code above, so you can get easy access to that and be reminded of these rules whenever you need the reminders. Other than that, I will see you in the next video. So for now, ciao.